Now, speaking of live performances, tonight's guest sitting next to me right now is one not to be missed. Tommy Coster is a dynamic force in the world of music, known for his genre-defying versatility and impressive career spanning film, television, and popular music. He's a seasoned keyboardist, composer, and producer who has contributed to platinum-selling albums and blockbuster soundtracks. Now, with roots in jazz and a passion for pushing sonic boundaries, he's collaborated with a wide array of artists, from Eminem and Dr. Dre to Santana and Cypress Hill. Born into a musical family, immersed in sound from an early age, his father, Tommy Coster Sr., was a renowned jazz trumpeter.
He actually was a jazz keyboardist.
Okay, he was a jazz keyboardist, not a trumpeter. Whether laying down a hook for a hip-hop anthem or composing lush anthem arrangements for film, Coster brings depth, emotion, and a signature groove to every project. And he plays right here in our community every week. So Tommy, as you like to be called, welcome to our show.
Thanks, nice to meet you,
Glad
sir.
to have you here. Nice to meet
Thank you.
We had a chance to chat a little bit
We
before
did.
and learn about each other. But tell you what, can you just start telling me how did music come to you? I mean,
Sure.
It was just a natural love or what?
Apparently, according to my parents, by the time I could stand up and reach up to the top of a piano, I was doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time I was, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3, I was playing myself Happy Birthday by ear.
Okay.
So I think growing up in a musical environment where there were lots of different types of music being played in the house, and then by the time I was 6 years old and my father starting to play with Santana, I started to go to rehearsals and recording sessions and going to Bill Graham's office. And so I was just kind of by proximity immersed in this wonderful world of music and family, because music is an international language, so everybody's kind of family. And I showed a certain amount of talent for it. I didn't take it too seriously because I was more interested in building the motor in my 66 Chevelle. But you know, by the time I was 19, I decided to go to Berklee College of Music in Boston. I went there for 2 years, and then studied a little bit with a teacher out there, and ended up in Los Angeles in 1992. And I thought I was going to be a big film composer. That's kind of what I was going for. And my journey led me through a lot of projects with my dad, and a lot of things I was doing in LA led me to wanting to work with Dr. Dre. And I saw a VH1 special on him, thought he was just a super nice guy, super impressive, and everything he seemed to touch turned to platinum. He would build all this music and all this catalog with a company, and then he decided he didn't want to be in that business with those people anymore, and he would move on.
What was the time period for this?
That was about 97, 98, and I had just gotten my first film to score with Miramax called I Got the Hookup with Master P. I somehow got to Dr. Dre through some connections, and we ended up working together for several years, and that led to a lot of great projects and a lot of fun stuff. Fast forward to 2020, I decided I had had enough of Los Angeles after 28 years, and I wanted to move to Italy, and COVID hit. And I moved back up to the area. I've been coming up to Grass Valley or Nevada City since I was an infant. I used to play at the National when I was 8 years old for my grandfather while he sat at the bar and drank on an upright piano that was terribly out of tune. And I ended up back up in this area, gratefully, and was able to secure a residency about 3 years ago at the hotel, and I've been there every Friday and now every Tuesday as well for about 3 years.
And which hotel is that?
The National Exchange Hotel in the Lola Bar, and we are there every Tuesday and every Friday. Tuesdays is a duo, Fridays is usually a trio or a quartet, and then we do a jazz brunch quarterly. The next one that's coming up is May 31st, which is a ticketed event. We play for free during the week, but these brunches are a ticketed event. It's $20 to get a seat, but there's limited seating. It's about seating for about 60, and they sell out real fast. So my intention to study jazz now, instead of chasing movies and artists and this and that, Nevada City's been a wonderful place for me to explore that and become a legitimate piano player and share that with the community. And the thing I keep getting back from everybody, which makes me so happy, is I haven't heard jazz like this since the 60s in San Francisco. And that's, for me, that's the greatest compliment, because I'm trying to push Bill Evans and Oscar Peterson and all these great Miles Davis and all this great music, and it seems to be working, and I'm very grateful.
Who are some of the local artists that play with you, or even out of town artists?
Great question.
Who's with you?
Great,
you said the Benzes Trio,
great
maybe
question.
a quartet. So obviously the lineup varies.
Selfishly, I brought one of my very dear friends up here from Los Angeles. He lives here now. His name is Chris Golden. He's kind of my go-to bass player. But I have another bass player in Sacramento that I adore. His name is Andrew Mell, amazing upright player. Locally, the drummer I typically use is Tim Bulkley. And then every once in a while, I get to play with Gary Regina or John DeBoer or Matt Langley. Sometimes John Gurton on guitar. Amazing, amazing musicians. And then every once in a while, when I am lucky enough to have a budget, I bring a drummer in from either New York or LA just to kind of share some outside talent with the community. So, but I use a lot of local musicians on projects that I produce, and it's just so much fun to work with them because it's a family. You know, music is a family. So it's working out really, really well to be kind of using these different projects and my vertical and pivot into acoustic jazz. It's working out really well to incorporate a lot of local talent, which I'm grateful to have because the budgets don't always allow me to fly people in from different places.
Yeah, we're lucky here in Nevada County. We do have
so many talented people.
An abundance of local talent.
There really, really is. There's a young girl that I adore. Her name's Iona Swift, and she's a vocalist. And not only does she sing with my trio or quartet sometimes, and we do a lot of Billie Holiday or Sarah Vaughan or Melody Margot, but she also has her own thing, and sometimes when she plays, she'll do her first set by herself, and then I'll bring my band for the second set, and it's just magic. And it's on Monday nights, and
at the National.
At the National, and
what time of the evening do you start?
So we play from 6 to 9 on Tuesdays, and we play from 7 to 10 on Fridays. Brunch, when it happens, is from 12 to 3, and when Iona plays, it's from 6 to 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
6 to 8 for the first set, or 6 to 8
She plays
total?
from 6 to 7. We play from 7 to 8. It's a 2-hour total, so an hour each. Yeah.
I hope folks at home are taking notes of this so they can.
Well, you know, we do our best to advertise, and there's also Monday night. There's also like Monday night music. I know Lorraine Gervais plays on Monday nights. There's other things happening musically at the hotel on Monday nights, and there's the Celtic people playing on Thursdays. So there's a lot of really wonderful things happening at that hotel. There's a drag brunch, drag bingo, drag mystery thing. Robert does a great job with that. There's just so much creativity, so much love in that hotel, along with the ghosts that we love so much.
That's true. I understand there are.
Now,
the National and the Holbrook in Grass Valley are owned by one and the same.
I believe so.
Do you ever play at the Holbrook?
I have never played at the Holbrook, although I would like to, but I would like to play real piano, and they don't have a piano there. So that's a little bit of a situation for me because I'm not into playing keyboards that much anymore. I prefer an acoustic piano because there's a different connection I have with that instrument. But if the Holbrook needed me to play there for some reason, of course I would play. I also have kind of an exclusive, not an arrangement, but like Tommy Coster Music and the National kind of have a thing where we're building this night and this experience in town. And I'm pretty loyal to the National, and even though it's the same owners, I don't want to dilute what we're doing. So I'm careful as to what other shows I might play locally that aren't private. Private shows are fine, but I think it's an experience every Tuesday and every Friday that I want to keep unique to the National. Because like I said, I was 9 years old in there with my grandfather, who I adore so much, even though he's gone, playing an upright piano for him while he was having his drink at the bar. And for me to be back there, it's a gift. It's just a gift.
Those are memories.
They are.
You can't buy.
No.
You can't. Yeah. Now you mentioned in passing that you had written a song when you were 11 years old.
I did.
For Santana.
I did.
Now, how did you get the connection? At 11 years old, what was the connection to
Yeah,
Santana?
I have that on my resume. It's part of my history. I have to say that was a gift from not only the universe, but my father and the manager at the time. Santana was doing a double album. It was a live album mixed with studio stuff. They needed material. I had an idea. It happened to go well with an idea that Carlos had. And my dad and the manager had this crazy idea of introducing my idea and seeing if Carlos would go for it. It all worked out, and
what was the name of the song?
It was called Zulu on a record called Moonflower.
Okay.
In 1978. So I think the record came out late 77, 78.
Album's name is Moonflower.
Moonflower, yeah. It was a beautiful, beautiful live record, which also had a version of two songs that my dad co-wrote and wrote that are these beautiful songs. One's called Europa that he co-wrote with Carlos in 76, I believe. And then another one's called Flora de Luna that my dad wrote. And I actually play Europa every week at the hotel.
Beautiful
and
song.
it's this song that, like, once you start playing it, the entire room goes, oh my God, I love that song. I know that song. I can play any American standard that any of those great songwriters wrote back in the 40s and 50s and 30s. But when Europa comes on, the whole room takes on this entire tone of like, oh, that song.
That's
and
right.
It triggers all these memories, and people want to dance.
Folks like you and I, when in 1976, I was 21 years
right,
old. Well, I just
right.
told everybody how old I am. But, 21, 22,
yeah.
You're into popular music.
Yeah.
Most people are, you know, kids especially.
It's magic. Not only do I get to honor my father and Carlos, but I get to share this song with the audience, and inevitably someone will come up to me, what was the name of that song you played? I'm like, it's called Europa. That's right. I remember when I danced to that song on a cruise ship in, 1983. And it's like, and that's the great thing about music is there are memories attached to music. And that's why sometimes someone that loses their memory that used to be a musician, when you bring his musicians around him or them and you put their instrument in their hand, they have total recall all of a sudden, because the music is a different connection than these other memories that we have.
So it's like for people that have Alzheimer's, dementia,
man.
It's almost a therapy.
Think about, did you watch the movie Jaws?
Yeah.
Okay.
Years
it's
ago.
one of my favorite movies. It traumatized me forever. Now check
Made
this
you not
out.
want to go into the ocean.
I
right?
still don't go into the ocean. But check this out. When that shark was chasing them, imagine if there was accordion music playing instead of that beautiful, powerful score that John Williams wrote. Music, in so many cases, is the difference from something working or something not working. And I mean from you putting a song on while you're painting your house and that inspiring you to, or when I wash a car, I'll put some jazz on and so it's so important to understand how powerful music is. If you didn't speak my language and I didn't speak your language, you could sit down on a set of drums and I could sit down on a piano and we could play together fine. It's the universal language. So I love it when people tell me, man, I remember when that song dropped. I remember when it dropped. You don't know how many times people say, I had a song with Eminem back in the day. Man, I remember when that song dropped.
Which one is that?
The Real Slim Shady. Like, I remember when that song dropped. And it's like, yeah, I remember when it dropped too, but like these kids.
It made an impression.
And I've got kids now, 12 years old, that love that song. So when you write a song like my pops did with Carlos, or I was blessed enough to be a part of with Em and Dre, this timeless stuff you do, that's a moment when you can say, man, I did something that was pretty good, and then you walk away from that and you put it away in its chapter and you move on to the next thing. And my next thing was, I'm going to learn how to play piano, acoustic piano. So that's what I'm enjoying now, and I'm enjoying the process. And being here in Nevada City, having Nevada City hold me and accept my intention when I play, it's a huge gift for me.
How long have you been up here now?
I've been in the area since 2020, and I've been up here probably since 2021-ish. Yeah. I'm back down in Auburn now with my parents because I take care of my parents. But I'm up here twice a week, and I love it up here. And hopefully I can,
Well, it seems that
continue to enjoy my time.
Nevada County, Western Nevada County, has an ability to draw
There's
some very talented people.
There's something
and
about
we've had
energy.
some people, we've had some of them have passed now. We've had people who are famous, and not just for music, but for
all
theater,
kinds of things,
for the screen. Of course, Chuck Yeager lived up here, the first man who ever broke the sound barrier.
Right.
Clint Walker used to be one of the old Western cowboys, Cheyenne Bodie,
Yeah.
So that's just a couple of folks that have lived up here and that are.
I remember the first time I played the Nevada Theater, and Mark Twain had been on that stage.
Yes.
And I felt really honored to be on that stage, especially playing acoustic piano, which is my new kind of love. So yeah, you're right. Very special.
Love Mark Twain. I mean, he's a good Missouri boy like I am.
Okay.
So there
you go.
We got a little kinship there. Yeah, not saying we are.
I love it.
Not saying we are kin or relatives, but
we all kind of are, though, aren't we?
We're from Missouri, both.
We all kind of are. Right?
Yeah, and we both from Missouri made our way to California. Unfortunately for California, maybe, I don't know.
No.
But well, that's great. Your music that you play, it's mostly jazz now?
It's all jazz standards.
Okay.
I don't take requests. I don't play any Billy Joel, even though I love Billy Joel. It's all American standards.
Okay.
If you like Bill Evans, if you like Oscar Peterson, if you like Miles Davis, if you like Freddie Hubbard, if you like any of the old stuff that was happening in the 50s and 60s, you're going to really enjoy what we're trying to do and doing up there.
And you mentioned Marvin Gaye.
I didn't mention Marvin Gaye.
Well, I thought I heard you say Marvin Gaye during, maybe that was when we were talking before.
Yeah, no, Marvin Gaye is that's another genre that I love, all that Motown stuff I love. I've played that in cover bands before, but I don't play. I might reharm one of those songs one day, but I don't play any of that stuff.
Reharm? Now, what does that say?
Take a Marvin Gaye tune and turn it into like a jazz type standard sounding. So I'll take the melody and the basic roadmap of the harmony, and then I'll do a treatment to it that makes it sound like maybe Bill Evans played it or Brad Meldau or something like that.
That'd be great. Yeah. I mean, obviously, Creedence I heard it through the grapevine.
Exactly.
Turned it into
you'll hear the melody and be like, wow, I know that melody, but what's different about it?
Turned it into a rock song.
Exactly.
So, I guess you can go for jazz also. Traditional jazz has been around for a long time.
It has.
Its history and whatnot. And again, maybe let me ask you this. Why were you drawn to jazz?
That's such a good question. I have always had an interest in harmony and the richness or the sparseness of a chord, how simple and open it is or how dense and dissonant it is. I love taking someone on a journey and playing something for them and making them feel happy or making them cry or whatever by the harmony I'm playing. So I'm stuck in the 50s and 60s. I watch nothing but Doris Day and all those old movies that all those musicals, all this music was written for, that got played by all the jazz greats. So I'm kind of old-fashioned in that way. So I think the style of writing and the innocence of the lyrics really touch me. And then being able to take that song and then put my own intention behind it by creating a different harmonic journey under that same melody is a type of creativity that I enjoy diving into and expressing. Every time, we play a lot of the same tunes every week, but we play them differently every time because that's what jazz is. You can take that song and take a different journey with it. So I think it's the freedom. Because I'm Gemini, so 1 minute I'm over here and 1 minute I'm over here.
Taurus, we're right next door to each other.
All over the place, right? So I think that being able to take a song, for example, songs have chords that change usually every bar. And when the chord changes, the bass note changes with the chord. So if it goes E flat to F to B to G to C to F to B flat to E flat, the bass is changing with those chords. Sometimes my bass player will just play one bass note underneath all of those chords. And some of those chords over that bass note that's not moving become way more interesting than if the bass note changed to what it's written as under the chord. And it creates this either darker or more tension and release moment, and we play the song differently. We might slow it down. That journey that I get to take on every song is my therapy, man.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
play a little game.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm a kind of a child of the late 60s and
Okay.
the 70s music that
Okay.
way. You know, they say that as you get older, you always listen to the music of your youth. And I've always said that when I'm in a nursing home, they'll be playing Jumpin' Jack Flash by the Rolling Stones.
Home, bro.
Well, I do too, but I'm just saying is that the nursing home will probably be playing Jumpin' Jack Flash by the Rolling Stones.
I like it.
Let me see if I took an artist or a band.
Sure.
Can you tell me a song by them that you would like to
do a treatment to?
Yeah,
Sure.
I didn't want to say manipulate, but
reharm.
Reharm.
Yeah, reharmonization.
Okay.
Sure.
Let's say one that a lot of people know, very popular band, the Eagles.
Oh man.
What kind of a song by the Eagles would you consider doing, or that kind of strikes your fancy?
I
so
would
to speak?
probably take Hotel California.
Wow, that would be, because that's kind of an incredible
Because
song
everybody's
anyway.
used to hearing that song the way it was written,
Right.
and I would take it completely somewhere else using that same melody.
Okay, I hope maybe you're going to get inspiration.
Now you got my wheels spinning.
Well, good.
See
that's
what happens?
That's what I wanted to do.
But so I'm going to call you and tell you, okay, I did the treatment. You got to come down now.
If you do it, yeah, I'll be there,
Yeah, I'll buy you a
because
drink.
I've always been kind of an Eagles guy, you know.
Well, that's a phenomenal. So there's songwriting
Mm-hmm.
and there's composition, there's arranging, and there's performance. There's other things mixed in there, right? I am not a songwriter. I co-wrote one song that everybody thinks is huge because I was working with songwriters, especially the artist who's an amazing songwriter. I'm more of a composer. So the Eagles, you're talking about a band that's just written so many amazing songs. They are songwriters.
Well, that's why I chose them.
Yeah.
Big choice.
It's like the
you know.
Beatles, right? So taking a song like that, there's a lot of meat on the bone there.
Okay.
Yeah. That's an interesting. See, now you said that. Now I got to do it.
Okay. Well, good. You know, hopefully I was
Put me to work.
I was your muse in that respect, I
Yeah.
guess, or whatever. Let me think of not just bands. Let's take some solo artists. Let's say a guy who's sang forever, Neil Diamond.
Okay.
What about any of his? He's probably got a catalog larger than the Eagles, even.
So I'm not super familiar with all of his music. I just know how phenomenally talented he is and how great of a songwriter he is. There actually was a song that he wrote that was like a jazz standard, and someone turned me on to it, and I really enjoyed it. I forgot the name of it, but any song, I could take a Lady Gaga song and do a treatment to it. I could take a Madonna song and do a treatment to it. So in fact, when people would ask me what I thought of Eminem, I'd say, to me, he's Charlie Parker, who's a jazz alto player. But the way that M would rap over the bar line and his rhythmic sensibilities, he reminded me of Charlie Parker. So there's only 12 notes in American music, in Western music. There's only 12 notes. So what are you going to do with those 12 notes, right? Music is cyclic. Everything's kind of been done that you can do with those 12 notes. It's just, how are you going to take it and make it a little bit different because of your DNA? How are you going to express it? How are you going to honor how you want to tell your story through those 12 notes? So it doesn't matter what artist you throw at me. I could pick a song. I was in a meeting years ago about someone wanting to hire me to produce a jazz record of music, and they gave me the song By the Time I Get to Phoenix. And I'd never heard I'd never heard the song. And the person who got the meeting for me walked out of there and she goes, "Have you ever heard By the Time I Get to Phoenix?" I'm like, "No." She's like, that's going to be a hard song, man. In 2 days, I had a version of that song that was fire.
Really?
And I sent it off to the production, and I sent it off to this woman, and they just came back and said, Are you
That was
kidding
written
me?
by Jimmy Webb, wasn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
He goes, "Are you kidding me?" And I just did this treatment to it. So, but it looks like they're trying to tell you something there.
Oh no, they're just
Because you're with a Gemini Italian, so I'll talk all day.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm a Taurus. You know,
Yeah.
the bull, Taurus the bull. I tell them I'm full of bull. All right, I'll throw one more band out.
Okay.
Probably the most well-known band there is in the world, the Beatles. What would you do with that one? If you could choose one.
I would. I mean, it's been done so many times. I really like "Yesterday." I really like that song. I'd probably take that song and do something to it. But again, probably some of my favorite songwriters in the history of popular music.
All right,
Is
great.
Beatles, yeah.
All right, we are running out of time, but thank you for coming.
Thank you for
and I'm
having
going to
me.
look forward. If I show up at the National Hotel, I'm going to expect Hotel California.
Okay,
and
now I got to do it.
And I'm going to
quick.
expect something by Neil Diamond, or whatever one you choose.
I'll promise you Hotel California. I'll promise you that.
All right, you got it. I'm looking forward to that.
Me too. Thank
you.
you.
All right, thank you for coming in. We